Good day, students. You are welcome to GSE 322 class. This is Basic General Mathematics 5. This course will be handled by Mr. L.O. Aminu and Mr. S.A. Yusuf. This course is the video version of the earlier material released, and to enjoy this course, you are advised to download the materials and then take your jotting materials and your calculator. In today's class, we are going to talk about frequency distribution. Frequency distribution. This is the distribution of large masses of raw data into classes or categories. So let's look at an example here. So this example here, let's look at the table, the data given. This data is a raw data and it is expected to be grouped, and the group given or the class interval given is 21 to 30, 31 to 40. Let's see how this will be solved. So this will be done under the table. So the table here, you have the mass, the tally, and the frequency. For the mass, which is in kg, the class interval here is 21 to 30, 31 to 40. So you can pause the video to complete it. So if you do that, you should have something like this. Then for the tally, you want to see the number of times a number occur under each group. So the first number we are going to take here is 33. So we look at the group where 33 falls. So 33 falls between 31 to 40. So we are going to strike under 31 to 40. Then 54 to 54, we look at the group where 54 falls. So 54 falls between 51 to 60. So we'll strike that line too. Then 50 falls between 41 to 50. 61 falls between 61 to 70, while 44 falls between 41 to 50. So you can pause the video to complete the tally group. So if you do that, you have something like this. Now the next thing is to do the frequency. We want to know how many times a number occur under each group. So that means that the tally will now be counted. So the number of strike under the first group is 2. So the frequency of 21 to 30 is 2. So the frequency between 31 to 40, so we count the stroke under the tally of that group. So that is 6. So you can pause the video to complete the table. So if you do that, you have something like this. Terms used in frequency distribution. 1. The class intervals. So let's look at this table here. So to understand the class interval, it's a symbol that defines a group, such as if you look at the table here, you have 21 to 30. So the group of 21 to 30, 31 to 40, and so on are referring to as the group of class interval. Another one is a class limit. So the class limit is the end number of the class interval. That is, the 21 and 30s, 31 and 40, and so on are the class limit. Then we also have what we call cumulative frequency. The cumulative frequency, you can get the cumulative frequency by adding the frequency from the first class to the various class interval. That means that for the class interval, each class interval must have the frequency against them. So for instance, now we have 21 to 30 has a frequency of 2, 31 to 40 has a frequency of 5, and so on. So to get the cumulative frequency now, so the first number there is 2. So we are going to add 2 to the next number, and the next number here is 5. So we have 5 plus 2, which will give us 7. So the next number is going to be 7 plus 7, which is going to give us 14. So let's try that and complete the table. So we should have something like this. Then another one is a class boundary. Another time we need to understand in frequency distribution table is a class boundary. And the class boundary, you can get a class boundary by subtracting 0.5 from the lower class interval and add 0.5 to the upper class interval. So if you take away 0.5 from 21, you are going to get 20.5. And if you add 0.5 to 30, so you are going to get 30.5. So 31 minus 0.5 and 40 plus 0.5. So let's do that. So if you do that, you have the figure below. The another one we need to know is the class size of a class interval. So this is the class size. It's also known as the width of a class interval, or the class width, or the class size, or the class strength. And this is the, we can get this from the table here now. The class size here is 10. How do we get 10? So you are going to count the number of a number in a group. So if you start from 21, if you count from 21 to 30, so you are going to get 10. The histogram. This is a rectangular block graph representing the frequency distribution of an analyzed item. And in histogram, the bars overlapped and there are no gaps between the bars. So let's look at an example here. Let's look at this example, and you are given the example and the table. To solve the problem, we need to generate the class boundary of the given table. Don't forget that to generate the class boundary, you take away 0.5 from the lower class interval and add 0.5 to the upper class interval, and that will generate the value we have here. And we are going to plot our class boundary against the frequency. So we are going to use the upper class boundary against the frequency. So the upper class boundary here are 30.5. So now to do that, you trace 30.5 against the frequency of 16. Don't forget that the bars are joined together. Cumulative frequency curve. And we can get this by plotting the corresponding upper class boundary of the class interval against the cumulative frequency. So let's look at the table. So we are going to first of all generate the cumulative frequency table and the class boundary. So we are now going to plot the class boundary against the cumulative frequency, and we are going to use the upper class boundary. In this time around, what we do is that 30.5 will be plotted against 2. So you are going to start 32, then 40.5 you start 7. So at the end of the day, you are going to join the star. So you have our cumulative frequency curve, which is a OGIF. You are to try the exercise given here and consult the other relevant materials to assist in today's class.